Hi, it's Jasmin. You know, that girl who did you-know-what way before the internet ever existed. Join me and my special guest every week as we talk about anything and everything because nothing is too taboo. So punch your ticket and get on board the Krazy Train with me, Jasmin St. All aboard! Welcome to a brand new episode of Krazy Train Podcast. This week's guest is one of my favorite wrestlers that I've had the honor of working with, and he's definitely one of the hottest names in independent wrestling today. His name is Alex Cologne. So when I think of indie wrestling and the most prominent indie wrestlers on the circuit, your name always is the first to pop into my brain.
Yeah.
It is, in a good way. How long have you actually been wrestling, and why did you choose wrestling of all the things out there to do to your body?
September of 2007 is when I had my first match. I started training December of 2006, and then I switched to the CCW school February of 2007. That's when I really had more of a regular training schedule. So it's been a long time. You've been in longer than I have, though. So technically, yeah.
It's kind of cool, right? Did you watch wrestling growing up?
Yes, I did. So I'm really old. As everyone knows, I'm super old. So my mom kind of lived with a friend at one point because we were kind of poor or whatever. And he had this little black and white TV, and it had a coat hanger as an antenna. And most kids don't understand that nowadays.
I know.
I would get Fox, and they would have Superstars, WWF Superstars on Fox or whatever at 12 p.m. on Saturdays or something after cartoons. So I would end up watching that, and that was kind of my first introduction to wrestling.
What was the cartoon of your choice back then?
X-Men. It's funny because I collect DC stuff. My friends got me into collecting. I collect some DC stuff. But I'm more into Marvel than DC, but I don't collect Marvel and I collect DC. It's weird.
That's an expensive hobby, by the way. I used to be a toy dealer back in the day. I was selling vintage toys to grown men who lived in their parents' basement. You don't fit the criteria.
Oh, I've watched dudes pay $3,000 for one figure or one item. I would never pay that much, but I mean, I guess I get it. I get the whole world. I've gone to conventions and stuff, so I kind of get it. You don't have money as a kid to spend on things. So when you grow up and you have a bunch of money to throw away, you just throw away on stuff that you didn't get to buy when you were a child or whatever.
No, that makes total sense. Now, with wrestling, who were some of your favorites growing up? And what was your first WrestleMania?
My first full WrestleMania I ever watched was WrestleMania. Was it WrestleMania 10? WrestleMania 10. I went to my cousin's house and his dad had the black box. If anybody remembers that, the illegal black box, and we watched WrestleMania 10. Coincidentally, Shawn Michaels showed his ass in that match.
Really?
And I remember I had two girl cousins, and they were like, "Oh, Shawn Michaels' ass," or whatever. I was like, "Whoa!" It was interesting. Wrestling growing up, I was a Bret Hart fan, 100%. Through all the hate, Bret Hart #1.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. I think when I first watched it, it was my grandmother who got me into it. And she's from the West Indies, so she really she got into it, and she would go full force. I started getting glued to the TV set to see Miss Elizabeth, to see Sherry Martel, and to see these girls getting in there and doing stuff sometimes, which was cool. What do you think of the whole Canadian Screwjob?
Lately, I like to fall into conspiracy black holes because I think it's fun. I don't take every conspiracy serious, whatever. I mean, people get crazy about conspiracies, but every now and then I like to fall down the black hole of it. And there's a lot of people that say the Screwjob was just a complete work between Vince and Bret, just so Bret can go get more money because they had some weird agreement. There's a couple wrestlers who will say that they think that was honestly the truth, that the whole thing was a work just to get Bret over there so he could get a bunch of more money or whatever. But who knows? It's wrestling. Like I was telling you, life is a work. All of wrestling's a work. I mean, how many people talk about how much they hate each other, and then they see each other in person, and they really don't hate each other. So even between the boys and the women in the locker room, it's we could kayfabe each other too sometimes. And it's you really don't know the truth. So it's wrestling all together is a work, so you never really know.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I recently saw the whole Drake Wirtz outbreak or whatever the little outburst he had after he allegedly punched John Wayne Murdoch in the face in Florida. I'm like, dude, you're a lousy actor, man. You need to, like, you. It's so staged. I anticipate we will see Drake Wirtz.
He had a sick tan.
What?
He had a sick tan.
Dude, yeah, I mean that's like a spray tan and a tanning bed probably, but you and I don't have to worry about that shit. Like you're Puerto Rican, so you're probably
If
tan.
I get enough sun.
You don't.
If I get enough sun, yeah. Right now I'm pale, but if I get enough sun, I'm good.
Did you see the whole Drake Wirtz John Wayne Murdoch thing? Because I think he's going to show up at the
Yeah.
Hammerstein Ballroom. That's what I think is going to happen with Drake Wirtz.
Who knows? It's a work. Everything's a work. Who knows? You know, that's wrestling though. Wrestling's drama. It's just funny that it came to blows because normally dudes will get online and they'll talk about each other and nothing will ever happen or it'll end up getting squashed behind closed doors. So it's very rare that people actually go to blows. I mean, at least nowadays, you know how everybody is. People are very soft and cupcake-ish, so a lot of people don't want to get into fights, which is understandable. You want to try to keep a working relationship because at some point you're going to end up having to work with everybody anyway, so what's the point of starting drama? But trust me, I've had plenty of my own drama. But you know what I mean? Like, it's a soft world. Compared to when I broke in 07, and you were around in what, the late 90s, early 2000s, doing stuff with XPW, and then you came to Philly for a while, right? With Meanie, and you were doing a promotion out here for a minute, weren't you?
Well, yeah. Then I went to ECW. Then I had my own promotion, 3PW. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I lived right near the Philly area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that pretty much just South Jersey boy. But yeah, I mean, you know, everything is what it is. Wrestling, I mean, sometimes people take it too seriously, even though it's like, listen, man, we're here to do a job. I mean, what's the point of starting drama with somebody that you're eventually gonna have to see? So I tell people all the time, like, you can start drama with somebody, but at some point, the people that you see going on the way up are the same people you're gonna see going on the way down. So you're gonna see that person at some point, and then you know that's when people talk with their hands, less with their mouth.
It's totally interesting when you said that because I had no idea. I met Pondo years before at I think I must have worked for Ian Rotten or something. Does that sound about right? Yeah, Ian Rotten. And I had no idea it was him. And then he's the same guy that brought me to Japan. So you just never know how everything comes to like a full circle with people. And that's why I just kind of stay away from people as often as I can, especially like most of the girls in the business. Not the wrestlers, by the way. I'm talking like managers or whatever, behind the scenes type of broads. Uh, Speaking of which, okay, so you came up in this era where we had CZW, we had the violent stuff, the extreme stuff. Now it's like a whole other level. Do you think it's gone too far with the weapons and so forth?
No, a lot of people do have. You'll get people online to talk about we use glass too much, which I think to a degree, I guess, is true. But I feel like you know, deathmatch is more mainstream now. I do feel like it's oversaturated. We have a lot of it going on constantly, week in and week out. Because I think I had a conversation recently with someone where they were asking me if I thought it was oversaturated because everyone looks to Japan for being the top because you have a tendency of kind of like remembering the things that happen over there more because obviously we hold Japanese wrestling on a pedestal and then on top of that deathmatch guys hold Japanese deathmatch on a pedestal. It's because they structure everything differently. Like there's a lot of multi-mans and in those multi-mans there's even storytelling regardless of weaponry and stuff. And they built these big matches. And then here in the US, we just have big matches every weekend. You don't really have a lot of like trying to build to something bigger with death matches. We just go big from the get-go. So a lot of times stuff gets stuck in the mud or it gets lost, you know what I mean? And that's where like the oversaturation comes from. But I mean, you know, death match is as big as it's ever going to be. I mean, it's pretty big right now. It's pretty mainstream.
Where do we go from here with death matches? I mean, is there going to be like a gunshot death match? I'm just giving an example
Yeah.
because we've done so many crazy things already.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wish I had an answer to that question. I'm waiting for. I mean, people have already been set on fire.
Yeah.
Watch Masada
Oh,
get
Jesus
caught on fire.
Christ.
I watched Otis Kogar get caught on fire. I'm like, dude, did you see the video of that dude getting impaled with a light tube recently? It might have been in Mexico.
Yeah.
It like went right through his arm. It's pretty gross. My big thing is it to me. It's important to keep as much of a wrestling aspect, even though the purists still make fun of us for it, like, oh, wrestling, it's not wrestling. I mean, if you want it to be wrestling, it can be. At least, keep some type of format, some type of psychology, some type of technique to it, because there is a technique to death matches. I mean, that's why guys like me tend to walk out of them pretty much not completely damaged to all hell most of the time, because we kind of know that there's a way to do things. And then you get people who come out here and they just go completely haywire, and that's where you get all the injuries, all the crazy cuts, and God knows what else, hospital trips, because I've been on plenty of those myself.
Mm. What's the worst injury to date?
I'm trying to think. So my hand, I wrestled Danny Havoc in his initial retirement match. You probably can't see it here, but there's a big scar on my hand, and it was pretty deep open. I also had a laceration in my head in that match, and they took me to the hospital, and man, it's pretty serious stuff. Like at one point, I lost a bunch of blood, and like it was in my liver. Something was shutting down, and they rushed me from X-ray back into the room, started strapping stuff on me, started strapping me with IVs to bring me back. It was pretty insane. And then I had the same thing kind of happen in Chicago, where an ambulance took me out for a laceration, and they had me in the waiting room for a few hours, and then I was there like I think a total of 8 hours in one of the Chicago ERs. And then I think like something with my heart was I really can't tell you too much. Murdoch was actually there. He would probably be able to collaborate the story better. But the nurse rushed in, and then I was like fading out, and then next thing you know, they're strapping IVs to me, and they're trying to get fluids in me to bring me back because I was fading away. It's real weird. I mean, death matches are dangerous. I tell people all the time, it's a dangerous business.
Yeah, I feel as though OnlyFans is sort of like deathmatch wrestlers in a way, because you get all the backyarders going into wrestling, kind of like OnlyFans. You have all the amateurs going into like whatever you call it now, camming. Um, it's a very scary situation, and I've seen you guys do some crazy things to your body. Do you ever think there'll be that one point where you say to yourself, "Okay, enough's enough"? Like, do you think there'll be that holy shit moment
Yeah,
for you ever?
I mean, I guess that falls same thing with wrestling. How many retirement matches does someone have? You never really know till you know. That's why, like I said, like I'll slow down with wrestling, but I can never really have a retirement because that doesn't exist. So many people say they're going to retire, or this is my last match. Then they don't have a last match. They don't retire. They come back a couple years later. That's why it's always best to not say anything and just kind of let it ride. And then for me, I'm like, when my last match happens, it happens. I'm not going to know when it is. No one else is going to know when it is. It's just going to happen, and I'm going to be gone. So till then, it's going to ride the train.
Yeah, that's the best we can do, is just keep going with it. And I love this business. I have a serious passion for it. Um Obviously something's not right in my brain because I go back to it. I go back to the glass. I go back. It's totally fine.
It's an adrenaline thing. It's a rush. It's different from everything else.
Exactly. And you try to
That
explain this to civilians, they don't get us.
they don't understand it. They'll never understand it. It's impossible to explain to people.
Yeah. What do you think?
It's entertainment.
Well, what do you think you'd be doing to entertain people if you weren't doing wrestling? Playing like X-Men or something, or being at Universal
Yeah.
Studios?
Okay. All right. I don't know. Um, I remember like getting out because I didn't really break into wrestling till after high school, like a year or two after high school. So '07, '06, yeah, like 2 years after high school. And then when I got out of school, I really didn't know what to do with myself. So I ended up going to college for a couple semesters just to kind of fill a void because I didn't know what to do with myself. And then I ended up switching over to technical school for computers, and I finished that. And even when I finished that, like I was given the offer for like a legitimate tech job in New York City, Philadelphia area, traveling back and forth to restaurants, doing like registry stuff with the POS systems and all this stuff, making sure all their IT stuff was up to date. And I turned it down to go to Europe for wrestling for like 6, 7 days, which was insanity. But I was like, it's not what I really wanted to do. I was just kind of filling up time to figure out what to do with myself till something in wrestling popped off. And then when it popped off, I just was like, oh, sorry, can't take the job. Got to go to Europe for 7 days or whatever to wrestle. And the guy just gave me a smarmy reply, and that was the last of that email.
No offense. I mean, you are smart, but I just can't exactly see you doing something like that. It's just not interesting. You know, you're far more interesting than doing that. Where in Europe were you wrestling?
In England, I had a tour with CCW where we were in Wolverhampton, and then we were in Germany for like 3 days or something. So I had to do the UK and Germany, and it was like my very first international tour. And actually, my first flight was to England ever. Never been on a plane. It's like 6 hours. It was insane. I was like, dude, this is nuts. But this is exactly what I wanted to do. So it was like, do I want to sit in a truck going to restaurants in the city, messing with POS systems and doing IT stuff all day for 6 days a week, or do I want to go to Europe and wrestle and live my dream? So it's like I made those choices.
When's the last time you were in England or just Europe, actually?
22, maybe mid 22, somewhere around there. I haven't ever since I came back home from. I had a long stay in Japan at the end of 22, and then I came back home, and life shit happens. Life keeps life, and it kind of pulled me back from doing international stuff, and I haven't really done anything international till the end of that year. So, yeah, mid 22, about.
What was your experience in Japan?
I love
Yeah,
it. I wanted to move there so bad.
we all do.
But it's like I have a daughter. I have a 9-year-old daughter, so it makes it hard for me to just be willing to pick up. And for some wrestlers that want to live their dream, they'll sacrifice anything. I've seen people sacrifice everything just to get a shot at making some big money in wrestling, right? And some people have. They actually made it and done those big things, sacrificing a lot in their life. But as a dad, I just kind of wasn't willing to sacrifice my relationship with my little girl to live in another country, because the opportunities are there. Once you're out there and you're doing international stuff and people are recognizing who you are and you're building a name for yourself, like those opportunities come your way. Like, hey, do you want to stay here for 3 months, or what do you think about living out here and this and that? And it's like, I love international. I love going to Japan. I love going to Australia and the UK and all that. Even Mexico. Mexico's dope. But it's like, you know what I mean? I've sacrificed a lot as it is for wrestling, and there's like a line with me. You know what I mean? As Mr. Miyagi says, left side, right side okay, middle, squash like grape.
That's so funny you brought up Mr. Miyagi. The last time in Japan, I met the great Muta. And I'm bringing him in for WrestleCon this year in Las Vegas. That's my guest. So it was so weird, like meeting him, because I didn't think I'd have any connection to him. But I remembered Nozawa worked for me before in 3PW. So I called him the next day when I'm about to get my Ribera jacket. Oh, yeah, Muta wants to meet with you. I'm like, all right, fine. So I get my jacket. Great. Next thing, we're going to like three trains, then 4 trains, and up a hill. I'm like, is this guy taking me to the freaking Yakuza? I mean, this feels like it's like meeting Mr. Miyagi, even, because you're going up all these hills. And finally, there's a small restaurant there. And he's sitting there with his wife. They're like two of the nicest people, but I always think of Mr. Miyagi from that experience, or like a Yakuza thing. I just didn't know what to expect. It was scary. I mean, but the food in Japan was amazing. Did you like just the way everything was, like their way of life? You see little kids taking trains home by themselves at 5 or 6 years
Yeah,
old
is
there.
that nuts?
You can't do that
You couldn't
here.
do that in the U.S. Your kid gets snatched, especially like I'm in Ohio. Kids get snatched out here all the time, and they're gone. That's
Really?
it. It's like high. It's a high human trafficking rate out in this side of the country. In the middle of the country, the human trafficking rates are insane. That's why it's like I tell people, like, yo, watch your kids, pay attention.
Yeah, I can't.
Because I've been to other parts of the country where they're just letting their kids run around. I'm like, dude, my kid's 9. It ain't happening. She ain't running. She ain't running out without me knowing where she's at. If she's 5 feet ahead of me, like, and I'll get violent. I don't care. Like, when it comes to her, I'll get violent.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. Yeah, I know this is crazy. Okay, I have to do this. I just have to say it once, and Andrew knows what I'm about to say. I miss Drag Queen Story Hour with kids only because of the crazy videos that ended up on TikTok. That's all. Moving right along. What are your thoughts on AEW these days? Are you looking for a safe way to bet online where there is something for everyone, including yourself? Then go to betonline.ag, where I am sure you will find something. Don't forget, it's betonline.ag for the most variety and the safest way to bet online.
I look at it and trust me, I'm nobody. He's hiring people, giving people crazy contracts, and people are in and out all the time. But I think it's just a matter of like, there comes a point where like when you own a business, when you're a fan of something, or like you own a coffee shop, you're a fan of the coffee, but then you end up owning it. And then it's like, but you're still a fan of the coffee. You just can't let the fandom go. And there becomes a point where you got to go from being a fan of something or being into something from a product perspective to being a boss or being somebody who's more company. So, there's always those two like things, At one point I was a store manager at a coffee shop for like 4 years. So I went from like really loving the coffee aspect and then having to switch over and kind of do management stuff, which I hated. I don't do it anymore. Once COVID hit, a whole bunch of stuff got sloppy with corporate, but like I just loved the before I became a manager part, because it was just more about the coffee and even customer experience. And then once you become part of management, it's like it's all about managing other people, making sure they're doing their jobs instead of like focusing on the things that you should be focusing on. To be real, it's like a lot of numbers. I'm like, math isn't my strong suit unless it's money.
Yeah, exactly. Like coins or something like that. Which, if you don't mind me asking, which franchise or what coffee shop was this? Was it something big like Starbucks?
Starbucks.
Oh my God. Fuck Starbucks.
I know, imagine me. And I was doing death matches during that time,
What?
but I would hide it. Yeah.
Huh.
Insane.
Well, they have the nice hot warm cider this time of year, and they have those like mocha things. But personally, I don't go into Starbucks anymore because it's always infiltrated by like homeless people and just people that don't want to freaking work. So I think you'd be a great manager to make them work and make them like put their hair back and come to work smelling like you fucking took a bath or took a shower that morning. Seriously, man.
That's the same thing with wrestling. How many people have you ever been in a locker room where somebody doesn't wash their gear or their ass?
Ew.
Excuse my French.
No, you're allowed.
Hopefully I can get monetized.
No, you're allowed to, but like we don't edit bad language on here. Or normal language, I should say. Yeah, but that's why I wore all the strong perfume, so I didn't have to smell like people ringside. So that's why I had the strongest perfume in the locker room on purpose.
I was always taught treat your match like you're going on a date. Like, dude, take a shower, put some beard stuff in so your beard smells good. Like, what are you smelling like crap for? Like, nobody wants to smell that. Like, do you have etiquette in life? Do you want a girlfriend? Like.
Yeah, or like a 400-pound guy like tossing you around. I've never heard of that before, of someone actually being clean before a match, because there are times I didn't even take a shower for 2 days and I'd work, I'd stand ready. Because I mean, they're people smellier than I am in the dressing room, but at least, I wasn't the worst of them because I wear deodorant and stuff.
Oh, I've seen people during death matches do a death match and then they'll wait to shower. Like, oh, I'll just shower later. What? That's how you get staph infections. So you get diseases. Who knows what's in that ring? Like, yo, as soon as I'm done, I'm trying to get to the shower as soon as possible. Like, I don't want to be covered in dirt, blood, nothing. I'm very OCD about cleaning, like 100%. Anybody can tell you. I'm like super OCD about that stuff.
No, that you are. I noticed that. You were one of the cleaner ones in the dressing room. You actually put people like
not the cleanest.
What?
If not the cleanest, because man,
no.
Some of those guys are suspect. I love them to death, but whew.
Yeah,
come on, guys.
It's like you don't know what's growing in their clothes. Now you put me to shame about my cleanliness habits in the dressing room. So what's your end goal? Like, do you just like doing the indies? Is there like some hope that there might be like a WWE ID with Alex Cologne, Impact, something like that?
No.
Okay.
I'm way too old. I mean, 2007 is what, 18 years. Right now, I'm just having fun. I want to be able to enjoy kind of this last little like ride, I guess. Is more so enjoying, and maybe hopefully I could teach a couple things, teach a couple people a few things. Because I feel like sometimes, especially now, like the younger talent, and it's no offense, some people do listen, but like for the majority, everyone just feels like they already know what they're talking about. It's like, really, you don't. Like, when you get in for so many years, you start to realize you still have a lot to learn. Like, even now, there's still stuff I learn all the time. Like, I don't know anything about TV wrestling. I couldn't really tell you how to get there. I couldn't really tell you how it works because I've never been on TV. So, and that's my big thing with people running seminars. Like, dude, are you trying to tell people how to get on TV when you have no clue? So it's like, I just hope from a deathmatch perspective, because I've wrestled them all and I've done it all deathmatch wise, that I can at least teach a couple of the younger guys a few things, and at least be helpful. That's my big thing for this last like little run for me, is like towards the end of everything, is just be kind of like somebody that can help other people along, because that's what I've always been about, is just helping people.
How about teaching them respect and etiquette? Like when they walk into a locker room that's not
That should be
theirs
common sense.
with their girlfriend or whatever wife or whatever ring rat or whatever the fuck it is. How about like learning to say hi and introducing yourselves? You could teach them that.
Yeah, well, you want to know the thing. I think COVID messed that
Yeah.
up a lot, but I seen a lot of people just don't do that anymore. Like people don't shake hands and do that whole thing. No, like sometimes I'm definitely like an intruder with that. I'll just come in and be like, "Yo, what's going on?" If I know everybody, I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" But like a lot of people, they won't know anyone. They'll just come in and they'll deuce their corner, and then won't bother with no one. And it's like you could tell they weren't trained properly. That's a big thing too. Is like, how many people do you know out there that are actually trained properly? That actually have like a lineage of who trained them and the person that trained them? Because I know mine. How many people know theirs? And it's like etiquette just falls with your training, and you could just tell how good someone's trained just by their etiquette. Are they going to ask the veteran to watch their match? Are they going to even ask for any? A lot of people don't ask for opinions anymore, and it's like opinions can be bad, but they can be good too. Like you ask a veteran for a reason, because they've probably been down the road you're currently going down, so they can kind of give you advice on how to navigate. So why not ask for advice? Why not ask for a helping hand? What everybody wants to be a lone warrior, and travel that samurai route and not take advice from anyone. Just be solo, Ronin. And sometimes you might get lucky and get somewhere with that, but rarely is the case. Most of the time, you won't. It's not about what you know, it's about who you know.
I couldn't agree with you more on that statement. And Brian Kendrick is the other person that said that to me once. Is nobody goes up to the veterans anymore and say, "Hey, excuse me, sir, can you please watch my match?" I saw that like maybe 4 months ago when I worked in Salt Lake City. Right, one of the veterans was there, and a younger kid went up to him, "Excuse me, sir, can you please watch my match and tell me what you think about it? I really want feedback." And that's the way it is. But I think it's too much ego going on with these kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a matter of the times, to be honest. Wrestling has changed a lot since I broke in, since you broke in. Wrestling has changed huge, a lot, a couple times actually, throughout the years. So I've noticed that a lot of younger talent just don't feel the necessity to take advice. And especially, and it's no offense to Tony Khan, hey, he's got money, he's running the business how he wants to run it. Dude, you're the boss of your world. Live your life. You know what I mean? If you got the money to spend, then spend it. Who's going to tell you how to spend your money? But it's like you got somebody out here hiring somebody who's 2 years in the business, somebody who's 4 years in the business, and they have the progressive technique. Their technique's on point, but it's just more than technique, or it's just more than a promo, or it's just more than your look. You know what I mean? And when people are young in the business, they have this thing of seeing what's in front of them, but not seeing everything around them. You know what I mean? So a lot of times when they get picked up by somebody who's giving them this 6-figure deal, this 5-figure deal, automatically in their head they're like, "Oh, I'm complete already. I don't need advice from Alex Cologne who's on the Indies. What the hell does he know what he's talking about?" It's like, dude, I've wrestled everybody. Like, I definitely know what I'm talking about. I might not have the make to be on TV. That's fine. That was never my goal. I've accomplished my goals. Now is my chill time. But like, you know what I mean? Maybe I can give you something that you didn't see that could help you down the road. But a lot of times these kids they're brought up into this thinking where like somebody puts them on a pedestal, they're 2 years in, automatically they think they're a complete wrestler, and in reality they're not.
No, that's 100%. You're a lot smarter than people give you credit for. And I knew that too. But what you're saying is correct. And people no longer say thank you at the end of the matches. Like I remember trying to say thank you to someone the last show I worked on. And it's like, okay, they're just like off going to the next show. But I believe that there's no psychology anymore. There is no storytelling. Like work the leg, work the arm, and use that. Where are the promos out there? And I do miss having managers. But I do also know for a fact there are too many people that are managers that didn't learn how to work. And you should always learn how to work if you're a manager. And they're trying to put
Should know at least how to take a bump.
yeah, exactly. Like, how come your chin isn't tucked? And you how to protect
Yeah.
yourself. And the other thing is, there are too many of them trying to put themselves over. which is another big problem I feel, especially with younger wrestlers.
Sign of the times.
Have you ever had
It's a sign of the
but
times.
have you ever had a younger wrestler try to tell you, like a new person trying to tell you how to do a match or what they wanted to do?
Yeah, I'm sure I have. I mean, I don't keep that stuff in my head long enough to linger over it, but yeah, I'm sure there's people that have, and it's just literally, it's just a sign of somebody's maturity. I mean, it's hard to understand being young when you're young in the business. Like, you're just happy to be there. Somebody like me at this point, like, it's like, all right, how much am I getting paid? How long is it going to take for me to get there? Am I flying there? All right, is my hotel set up? How much time do I have to get to the venue and talk to this person? How much time do I have to set up my merch table? You know, like, you have all these logistical things in your head, but when you first are in the business, you're not thinking about that. That's not what's in your head. Where you're like, oh, I can't wait to go there. I'm gonna have a great match. I don't care if it takes 10 hours to get there. Like, I'm gonna go there, and then the young person gets there, and they're just calling 8 million things, and the veteran's just lost. Like, oh, what the hell? You know, it's just a sign of times. It's a sign of somebody's immaturity, I guess, or more so a sign of somebody's youth. You know, when you're youthful, you just tend to see, like I said, you just tend to see what's in front of you. You don't really notice everything else that's happening around you and behind you.
Well, you could always refer them to the New Jack Mash Transit incident. That's a great example of a total
It was a
newbie
rough
telling
one.
someone what to do. Yeah, that was pretty brutal, actually. So hopefully we get you over to Scotland for Bleeding Gums at some point. And I know that you have a really good fan base over there. What do you think is the key to your success so far? Your longevity with the success, I should say.
Well, I don't know. Maybe some of my wrestling acumen. I mean, even me more so. I don't. Sometimes I think I'm just way more aggressive with the, like, oh, let me just go crazy. Let me go ham with these weapons or whatever the case is when it comes to death matches. Sometimes I don't think about it too much, but there are times where I do, and I just really try to implement a wrestling aspect. But I honestly think, like, the first 8 to 10 years that I didn't do death matches and I just strictly stuck to wrestling, I had a chance to wrestle some of the best in the world, guys who were on TV, guys who were international doing their thing on a long-term basis. And I think that really helped me in the long run because it helped me really be able to put more technique into what I was doing when it came to death matches and not just literally use the weapons as a crutch, because that's definitely something I don't do. I don't try to use the weapons as a crutch. And a lot of times you get people that get in there before they're really, like, comfortable with themselves wrestling wise, and they tend to lean on the weapons as a crutch sometimes because you get lost in the sauce. What's the best thing you do is grab something, hit somebody with it, because that's the only thing you can think about instead of really using your brain, putting something together that somebody can easily digest and something that you can easily follow, but you could also utilize to make people way more excited during it.
Yeah, that's that's definitely 100% true. And it's you have basically the same type of outlook on this as the veterans, like Pondo, people like that. Because people just think you go out there with the stop sign, you whack people, you do this, and you have to really play it out. Let it take its course. Is there anyone you've not worked with yet that you'd like to?
No, no. I think I've been in the ring with everyone. I know I've expressed to people I want to wrestle Pagano at some
Yeah.
point because I think that's one person I haven't. That's maybe the only person I could think of that I'm like, I definitely want to get in the ring with him, and I haven't got in the ring with. Outside of that, no. I've pretty much been in the ring with almost everyone. Maybe Mickey Knuckles. I haven't been in the ring with her yet, so that'd be pretty cool because she's from the old school. So, you know what I mean? She'd be want to smack me upside the head, but it would be hilarious. But yeah, those are the two people that I can really only think of. I've pretty much had the opportunity to really be able to get in there with the best of the best when it comes to death matching. Because that, guys like Kasai and Takeda, Ito, Kobayashi, like, I've had the chance to be in there with all of those guys, and obviously, like, your Danny Havocs and your Masadas and your Necro Butchers. I have had the chance to be in there with those guys too. I've wrestled Drake in a regular match. I wrestled Drake at CZW at one point, which was dope too. So I've had the chance to really be in there with the legends of what I call this genre, deathmatch genre, and from all walks, international and domestic. So I mean, there's really nothing on my bucket list. Like, maybe those two people, Mickey and Pagano. But outside of that, no, I've done it. You know what I mean? That's why I tell people this is my chill time. Like, I'm not trying to be overly ambitious. Like, my last goal was go to Japan, and I got to go to Japan so many times, which was so dope. My last time I got to go there for like 2.5 months, which was the dopest. And I was like, man, this is the dream. This is it. Like, I can't ask for any more. So, I try not to linger with the sadness of, oh, am I ever going to go back there? It's like, dude, you appreciate, you know what I mean? Appreciate those moments because they don't last forever, man. We're not, at one point I was 23, now I'm 40. Like, those moments don't last forever. You have to take full advantage of them.
You're not too old in this business at all. Look at PCO. He made a huge comeback. Look at Necro Butcher, who came back after cancer.
Get,
You just
I was
never
talking to him
know.
not too long ago. I'm like, dude, you almost died. Like, you were dead and he came back. Dude, anyone who can't appreciate that, like, what can you appreciate about life? Somebody who was literally on death's doorstep
Hmm.
made a full-fledged comeback, like in a wrestling match, and is back to normal. It's insane.
Well, he was the
Insane.
first person I met at the XPW. I think you were there for the California show, California.
Maybe,
Yep.
maybe.
And he was in the same dressing room with me. I put two and two together, but I was kind of scared of him, but I wasn't. But he's the most polite person, and now he just fractured his
Yes.
knee and hip in Japan. So I have a
Yeah.
feeling he'll be back in the ring a lot sooner than people expect. But don't ever put age on it, because no matter what, you have the skill, then more skill than a lot of these really young guys that are out there.
Yeah.
What do you
I mean, it's all experience. They'll all get there at some point. It's just a matter of how much they're willing to listen to or how much they're willing to learn because your learning never stops with wrestling ever.
That's true. And I know that we said never say never with wrestling. Okay, especially with companies. I know I've said my never say never with XPW, then I ended back there, but now it's really never say never with
Okay. I mean, hey,
me.
listen. I've seen crazier things happen.
I know. Come on, nothing should surprise us. That's wrestling. With GCW, is that your never say never, or is it really never say never?
At this point, like I'm sure the boss there doesn't think about it either. He's got his own shit going on, so it's like I just try to keep focused. Like I have other things in my life that I need to focus on. You know what I mean? And wrestling drama and worried about, oh, somebody gonna take me back is like the last of my worries, Because I mean, I don't know if you've seen the Atticus Koger stuff. Like that stuff was really hitting through a lot of my text chats with friends. A lot of people were like, "Did you see he went back?" And it's like, yeah, like listen, he's a young kid. You know what I mean? GCW is on a big platform. A lot of people consider it the number 3, right, in America at least. So why wouldn't he? The door's still open for him to come back. He wants to get some more notoriety. He wants to be able to play on a bigger level than he's been playing at for the last couple of years. So he's gonna do what a young guy does and take a chance. You know what I mean? Take a chance to live your dream. So you can't be mad at him. Like he's a young guy. He's gonna do what he wants to do. Like, you know what I mean? We're all grown adults to some degree. We don't have moms and dads watching over us every 2 seconds, making decisions for us. So no one should be worried about anyone else. Like if the opportunity's there, it's there and it'll happen. If it's not, it's not. I know when it comes to me, I don't think about it that hard. If it's something that made sense, something that would drive me intently to want to go back, I would never doubt it. But also, it's not something I think about. It's not something I'm worried about. Like I got my own stuff going on.
That's good. Well, you seem like you work almost every week. What do you have coming up for December and January, or do you not have it booked yet?
I have some stuff that's not announced. Also, Pro Wrestling Revolver is running a show in Iowa. Their season finale. I'll be doing a big no rope tag team barbed wire match with a bunch of young guys where they'll probably die.
Yeah.
And then also Revolver, which Revolver is my main company right now, but Revolver's doing another show in Indiana not long after that I'll be wrestling Cruel on for the first time, which is going to be dope because I've never wrestled Cruel. And then outside of that, just chilling. Like I'm taking every opportunity to enjoy holidays while I have a chance because, as you would know, as being a part of any entertainment industry, like how many holidays have you had to work? Like, oh, I gotta work holidays. I gotta wrestle on holidays. Gotta go to wrestling shows. I don't have time to spend time with family and friends on holidays. Like I'm busy trying to make money or trying to, you know what I mean, get myself out there. So it's like I'm taking advantage of the free time that I do have nowadays to be able to spend with friends and family and enjoy holidays. So I'm never mad about it. So I tell people, I'm like, listen, I'm not going out there anymore to go search for to wrestle for Company C in the middle of Nowheresville, Missouri or whatever. It's like if somebody wants me to be on their show, they'll hit me up. You know what I mean? And if it sounds enticing enough, then I'll do it. If not, I have zero issue with sitting at home, popping on Netflix, watching a murder doc or something, and chilling out. Like, dude, I'm 40. What do I gotta chase after, you know what I mean, remedial shit for anymore?
Yeah, I like PW Revolver. I think that's a really good company. They have a lot of good stuff going on. I've seen all of their ads and all the flyers, so I hope you have fun on their shows. And what murder documentary are you watching right now?
Today I was just watching that John Benet
I
Ramsey
just
one on
finished that.
Netflix that just came out.
It's
Who do you
freaky.
think? Who do you think? Who
Okay.
did the one dude do it?
Yes,
Did the one dude
yes,
do it?
yes. Because it's no way it was the parents, but at the same time, all of that DNA evidence was corroded, right? So we don't have
Yeah.
real DNA evidence. That specific guy, the one in Thailand, he knew what her grandmother's nickname was. He said he stayed there for five
Yeah, that's
hours.
insane.
It's him, and they're letting this fucker walk.
But did they ever, because I don't know if I went to the bathroom real fast or not, but did they never explain how he was in, because they're in Boulder, right? And he was teaching in Cali at one point before
Atlanta,
he like fled the country to go
Thailand, yeah.
to, yeah. So how the hell, right?
Well,
How does that make sense?
here's the thing. He went to her house in Boulder one day, was in the garage speaking to the housekeeper or someone else. And
Oh yeah, yeah, I seen
yeah,
that.
that's the whole thing. So it's not the parents. I mean, the mother died, rest her soul, and it's just I believe that it's just sloppy police work from the Colorado Police Department for sure.
Not the word sloppy.
It's just it was irresponsible then to go on a show like fucking Geraldo and have that whole reenactment with the jury. That was unfair. Like you should have sued them for at least $700 million.
Yeah, but who'd they get money from? They got money from somebody. Oh, the dude who wrote the book, right?
80 million from that, and 750 from CBS went to the son because he was at 9 years old. They accusing him of murdering his sister when he was 9 years old. But I'm sorry,
Yeah.
when you dress little girls up like that, they're gorgeous. They look like it's like a pedophile's wet dream.
I said I would never let my kid do that
No,
ever.
don't.
It's not happening. I'm Puerto Rican. You know, Puerto Rican dads are serious people. Like, nah, she ain't doing that.
I think it's cute. I was doing some of those things when I was a kid, but luckily enough, my mom, she was crazy.
Dude, listen, yeah, my mom had her days too where we were like doing drugs, selling drugs, all types of crazy shit was happening in my house when I was a kid. So, I mean, she eventually grew up and got out of that situation in her life and got older, but I can understand, trust me.
Yeah, well, no, she wouldn't like. She was very like highly protective of me because I didn't,
Mhm.
she wouldn't leave me certain places. I don't blame her. But then you have that photographer in the John Benet Ramsey case. You don't let a grown man take photos of young girls like that. The other good
Yeah,
ones are all the foreign series and Netflix. Do you even watch American shows anymore?
I
Like the programming?
I like to watch some of the Korean dramas.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do go down the Korean drama route.
Yep.
I like them.
The
I like
European
them. Not
ones.
all of them. Some of them are a little all right, but I like how they implement a lot of twists and turns in their limited miniseries. Is like American shows don't do that for whatever reason. A lot of those Korean dramas, like man, they take you on a ride.
The other one that's really good to watch, anything by Harlan Coben. He wrote a story called Safe. Um, Think Twice, Fool Me Once. Those are good crime dramas, but again, you don't have American actors in that. You have these European actors. I think Michael Hall was in one of them, but he had this big British accent. It was something else. What are your thoughts on female and deathmatch wrestling, like Lindsay Snow, Mickey, girls like that? I know you like Mickey. She's great.
I mean, I'm good with it. I say everyone has equal opportunity. Like I don't see people for gender or any of that situation. Like in 2024, it's like so many people like the Mr. Miyagi thing, like left side, right side. Nah, dude. If you're a good wrestler, you're a good wrestler. Doesn't matter if you're a man, woman, child, you're an animal. If an animal can wrestle, so be it. Like I don't see people for those specific categories. My thing is like if I'm in the ring with you and you're good, you're good. That's all that really matters to me. Like it's either you're a good wrestler, you're a bad wrestler. Or maybe you're an okay wrestler. Maybe there's an in between, but there's no oh well woman or man. It's like it's wrestling.
And if people want to find you online, where do they go on Instagram, Twitter, and all that great stuff?
Instagram Alex Cologne 003. I don't have a Twitter anymore. It was a lot of drama, a lot of dramatics. I dealt with my drama on Twitter, and I was like, I got to get off of here. Like, it's just toxic for me mentally, especially like me, because right now I work two. So whatever, everyone, I work two jobs, two shoot jobs, as a wrestler would say. So I literally have zero time to mess around and be scrolling through people's drama and all their antics on Twitter. So I just got completely off of it because I was like, I want no parts of this anymore. I'd rather stay on Instagram, maybe post some stuff every now and then, picture stuff for advertisements or me at shows. But outside of that, nah. I mean, Facebook, I barely use. I might if hit me up on Messenger and we'll have a conversation. But outside of that, I don't. Social media can tend to be a lot of drama, so I don't really like dive into it too much.
And if people want to book you,
just reach out to me on my Instagram or find me on Facebook and hit me up on Facebook. Like hitting me up directly is gonna be the best way to get a hold of me. Outside of that, don't even bother.
do you have any messages for the fans of wrestling?
That be open minded, give everything a chance. Like a lot of this generation, these last few years, like people more so go to shows to hang out and hang with their friends and party or whatever they're trying to do. I feel like the emphasis on the wrestling aspect, the actual wrestling aspect, really isn't that much there as it was when I was a fan. So I mean, give the whole wrestling experience a chance. Like, just don't. I mean, we're all gonna go there to hang out with friends, but like, go there and enjoy the show itself. Like, there's more to a show than just like hanging out or feeding into whatever drama. Like, you're going there to support the men and women that are in that ring busting their ass.
100%. And make sure you get some Fago dogs or Fago soda if you're in the Midwest, because those are the best for sure.
Oh wow,
I think
yeah.
they're
Oh
good.
man.
I worked at Horror
Yeah, have you
Club
ever
and had it.
been to an ICP legit concert where they're spraying Fago on
Yeah,
people?
yeah.
Insane, right?
I love it. I love it. Like, I want to work on one of those JCW shows specifically to get Fago sprayed on me. I mean, it's just Fago soda. It's better than getting
Yeah, no, you're
cartridges
right. It's
thrown at you.
diet.
Huh?
It's diet soda, so you don't get as sticky. It's a thing.
Yeah, that's true. Even that's probably not like the best thing for your health. But thanks for joining me this day after Thanksgiving, and sit tight.